The bell above the diner door jingled softly as the old man eased himself into the booth, hands trembling just enough to betray his age. He was 81, thin as a folded flag, wearing a faded military jacket that no longer fit the world he lived in. He didn't ask for much, just a cup of coffee and a place to sit where the noise wouldn't remind him how loud life had become. No one noticed him at first, and that was fine, until the slap landed. It came fast and sharp, cracking through the diner like a gunshot. The old man's glasses skidded across the table, coffee spilling into his lap as his head snapped to the side. Conversations froze, forks hovered midair. The thug stood over him, young, broad-shouldered, smelling of cigarettes and impatience. "Watch where you're sitting, old man," he sneered. "This booth's taken." The veteran didn't raise his voice. He didn't curse. He simply reached for his fallen glasses with shaking fingers, dignity clinging to him like a last medal. "Son," he said quietly, "I didn't mean any trouble. That should have been the end of it, but cruelty is loud when kindness is quiet." The thug scoffed, puffed his chest, and laughed for his friends. No one stood up. No one said a word. Fear has a way of gluing people to their seats. The old man sat there, humiliated, eyes wet not from pain but from memory. He'd faced worse than this. Mud, filled trenches, screaming radios, friends who never made it home. Still, this hurt differently. This was loneliness wearing a human face. Then the diner door opened again. At first it was just the sound, heavy boots, then the jackets. Black leather, patched with skulls and wings. One by one they walked in, 6 of them, big men, bearded, silent, the kind of presence that made the air feel smaller. The thug's smile faded. The lead biker stopped just inside the door, eyes scanning the room until they landed on the old man. Everything about him changed. His shoulders stiffened, his jaw clenched. "Dad!" The word cut through the diner like lightning. The biker crossed the room in 3 long strides and dropped to one knee beside the booth. Gently, almost reverently, "Dad, are you okay?" The old man nodded, trying to smile. "I'm all right, son, just clumsy these days." The biker picked up the broken glasses, hands shaking now. He looked at the spilled coffee, the red mark on his father's cheek. Then he stood, slowly. The thug took a step back. "Hey, man, I didn't know." The biker raised a hand, not in threat, but in command. The entire group behind him went still. "You slapped an 81-year old war veteran," the biker said calmly. "A man who taught me how to tie my shoes. A man who worked 3 jobs so I wouldn't sleep hungry. A man who bled for a country you barely respect." The diner was silent. Even the grill seemed to stop sizzling. The thug swallowed hard. I was just joking." "No," the biker said, "you were being cruel, and cruelty always thinks it's funny. Everyone expected violence. That's how stories like this usually go. But this one took a turn no one saw coming." The biker reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded bill, then another. He placed them on the table. "This is for the coffee and the mess." He turned to the thug. "You're not worth my fists," he said, "but you're going to apologize." The thug hesitated. 6 bikers, a room full of witnesses, a lifetime of choices catching up in one moment. He looked at the old man again, really looked this time. "I'm sorry," he muttered. Then louder, "I'm sorry, sir." The veteran studied him for a long second. Then he nodded. "I hope you do better." He said simply, that was it. No cheering, no punches, just accountability. The bikers helped the old man into a new booth. Someone else paid his bill. A waitress brought fresh coffee with a smile that trembled. As they left, the lead biker paused at the door and turned back to the room. "Kindness isn't weakness," he said. "It's the strongest thing there is. Don't forget that." The bell jingled again. The diner breathed. Later, people would talk about the day the Hells Angels walked in. But the real story wasn't about them. It was about an old man who endured without bitterness, a son who chose restraint over rage, and a room full of strangers who learned, if only for a moment, that kindness still matters. Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do isn't to hit back, it's to stand up, speak gently, and remind the world what humanity looks like.